I can have your attention for just a moment, please, we'll start with our morning festivities. It is my pleasure to welcome you here to the All College Day, our morning breakfast. And it is also my honor and my pleasure as the chair of the Board of Trustees for Cecil College to introduce and welcome to the podium our interim president, Dr. Mary Bolt, who we are very proud of.
Trustees who are spending the morning with us. You've already met and talked with our board chair, Sarah Kalinda. Our board members, Wyatt Wallace. And Dr. David Leatherwood with us. Start the morning with introducing new employees, and I'll be calling on Dr. Lane and Dr. Valukas as well as Dr. Lithicum to do some introductions. We'll follow that with some service awards, not necessarily years of service, but contributions to the institution. And we have something new that we're going to do this year in recognition of employees. And the one thing that we hope to do throughout the year and especially in the next 6 months, is to really recognize our employees for all the hard work that we do. We know we're challenged in many other ways, but giving praise and being thankful for the hard work that each of you do is something we can do, and it really doesn't cost. But this year, our executive management team contributed some of their personal funds to put in for a drawing for one person who has accomplished something in the community, perhaps received an award, a recognition of some sort, and that person will receive a $100 Visa gift card, just as a thank you. And when we get to the part of the program very early on when we recognize those accomplishments, we'll ask that you come forward. And one of our foundation great contributor and lover of the college, the Sheeler family. They own a company called Sheeler Seeds, and you will be receiving a T-shirt that supports actually really the foundation and what happens with the foundation. This morning I'd like to start with introducing someone new to our executive management team. Dr. David Lithicum is the interim vice president of academic programs. And like David, started with an introduction of his new employees.
Actually, know what that button is.
Turn it off when you're done.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to introduce 3 new employees, one who's actually been on board for a little bit, Serenity Rowland. The college is production manager for the Overstone Theater this past September, and I believe you worked there part-time prior to that, right? And she's currently pursuing her degree here at Cecil and has attended Northwest Florida State College and American Musical and Dramatic Academy in New York. So, thank you. Ebony Roper. Ebony comes to us from Lincoln College, where she was assistant professor in chemistry. She has a PhD in analytical chemistry. And a bachelor's in chemistry. She was an adjunct here at Cecil before coming on full time. And one interesting note is she does postdoctoral work with NOAA and has been out on the NOAA ships doing some surveys for greenhouse gases. And we have a mystery man trying to figure out his background, but I think we did it between Susan and I and Nathaniel. So Nathaniel, thank you. Nathaniel has a Master's of Fine Arts in Creative Writing, a Master's of Arts in English, and of course a Bachelor of Arts in English. He's coming to us from his hometown of Iowa City, and I think you just got into town yesterday or the day before. Trips across the country. He worked there as an adjunct at 2 community colleges and also worked for the Center for Evaluation and Assessment, the Department of Education at University of Iowa. So Rebecca, where are you?
Here I am.
You know who you want to talk to. Got an assessment background. I'd like to acknowledge a retirement. How many folks here knew Bill Charlton? A lot of you go back many years. I think Veronica was probably the one that was here when he got here. Maybe Ed, were you here? He served 42 years here with the college. That's pretty cool. And Veronica and I have been doing some digging, but the best we could tell, he served on every academic committee. One time or the other. He was president of the Senate at one time, and he was the department chair at one time. So he pretty well went across the board. And lastly, Kelly Harlinsky. Congratulate Kelly for promotion to Director of Healthcare Services in September.
It is a great pleasure for me to announce 2 staff promotions that have happened over the course of this past year. First is Tiffany Dow. Tiffany has been with the college and cut across many different jobs. She started out working in the area of accounts receivable, worked in the registration office, and over this past year, she was promoted to the Career Services Advisor position. She received her master's degree from what was then the College of Notre Dame, now Notre Dame University of Maryland, in the area of contemporary communications. And in the short time that she has already played that role, she has already introduced a new program, which was a virtual job fair online, which was very, very successful this past year. So congratulations to Tiffany. Also wanted to announce to everyone who doesn't know by now that Amanda Selecki, who came to the college as the Assistant Director of Financial Aid, over this past year was promoted to Director of Financial Aid. And I'll tell you, that's an area where everything is so regulatory and there's so many details that have to be attended to without skipping a beat. This young woman stepped into that position and as Director of Financial Aid has made sure that everything has gone forward. Amanda received her master's degree from Capella in Higher Education Administration. So we are very, very excited to have both of these promotions happen within the division.
I'm going to save my voice and ask Christopher Sherlock, our Director of Facilities, to make an introduction this morning. Thank you.
Good morning. Our newest member of the Aramark team on the ground, Garrett Cresswell. Garrett comes with us. He started in August. If he looks familiar to you, he is a Cecil graduate in 2010. Then went on to Mansfield University where he played baseball. He also has been a part of the college team since 2012 as assistant baseball coach working with Charlie LeBron. So we're glad to have him.
Now on with the recognitions. I'm going to start with human resources. And as I call your name, if you please come forward, we have lovely assistants honoring you with special recognitions. Human resources. Lauren Fleck received her professional human resource certification in June of 2014. This next group, as I call their names, if we can hold applause to the end of the grouping, that would be fantastic. Academic programs. Beth Olson received her Doctor of Philosophy with Marine, Estuary, and Environmental Sciences. Dr. David Rudolph, Mrs. Sue Price, Jack Cohen, and Tyler Matthews, who is a student, the commander of the Northeast Police Barracks, sent in a special recognition in an email asking that these volunteers get special recognition for the work that they did in support of the Cecil County Law Enforcement 3rd Annual Shop with a Cop program that received some great coverage, and they made a lot of young people happy. Dr. Ahmed Tariq presented a paper entitled A New Algorithm for Multiple Key Linear Interpolation with the formal foundation at the World Comp 14 International Conference that took place in Nevada.
As everybody's name gets called, please come up.
Okay. Christy Erickson. Dr. Erickson earned a certificate in applying the Quality Matters rubric and the Quality Matters rubric update. She presented at the AMATIC conference in Tennessee in November on math and music. And that conference is the national conference for associate degree math educators. And our college and our math faculty are very involved in that group. John Clement served on the roundtable panel at the Quantitative Literacy Conference at Towson University in October. Kim Shepard, Joe Cooper-Sannon, and Alan Drake attended the Quantitative Literacy Conference at Towson in October. John Clement, Joe Cooper-Sannon, Ann Edlin, Christy Erickson, Alan Drake, and Barb Morton attended the AMATIC conference in November in Tennessee. Josiah Bancroft. The first book in Josiah's Books of Babel series, Senlin's Ascends, won the Bookworm Best Award for Best Debut Novel. We'll try it one more time. Best Debut Novel 2014. Josiah published Part 1 of Book 2, Arm of the Sphinx, in April of 2014. And Part 2 in July 2014. Part 3 is forthcoming. He's been interviewed by publications such as Publishers Weekly and The Geekery. Josiah's novels are available on Amazon, Kobo, and Kindle. Kate Hennessy. Kate writes a monthly column about the intersection of life and literature for the Dr. T.J. Eppleberry Review, the literary magazine housed at the Johns Hopkins University. Her essays recently have appeared or are forthcoming in the Cecil League and Fourth Genre, Explorations in Nonfiction. Lisa Lipich. In 2014, her play was produced by the Old Academy Players in Philadelphia. She acted in the Telling Project on Center Stage in Baltimore, and she was a finalist in the Atlantic Review International Poetry Competition. Lisa recently learned that at least one of her one-act plays will be produced this spring at the Players Club of Swarthmore. And Lisa serves as an adjunct faculty in our English department and has served there for several years. So that is our grouping for academic programs. So we're asking you to remain, if I'm correct on, right? They stay up, please. Technology is so fun. Student Services, Farah Dow, Administrative Office Associate, completed her Master of Science degree, Internet and Web Page Design from Wilmington University. Jacqueline Fisher, Registration Technician, completed her Associate of Arts degree in General Studies from Cecil College. Lainey Hoxter, Director of Multicultural Services, was the 50th Annual Freedom Fund Banquet Speaker Award at the NAACP. Dr. Diane Lane, Vice President of Student Services and Student Effectiveness, was the 2014 Education Visionary Leader Award from the NAACP. And Amanda Selecki, the Director of Financial Aid, completed her Master of Science in Higher Education from Capella University. Down this way. Some general announcements regarding some awards. Cecil College Foundation was the 2014 Business of the Year from the Cecil County Chamber of Commerce. Milburn Stone Theater was the 2015 Business of the Year, the 2014 Business of the Year from the Northeast Chamber of Commerce. And the next group are the APO Unsung Hero Awards. These are awards given to colleagues voted on by the peers in the APO group. And thus far, those unsung heroes have been Dina Gischel, Caleb Johnson, Lisa Little, Richard Benvento, Tammy Rapicelli, Joe Torrey, Ashley Lively, Mike Mangini, and Terry Laird. And I would ask that Dawn Kisner come forward so that we can, I'll hold the basket. You draw? I'll hold the basket. Pressure. Oh, two? Christy Erickson. If you did not receive your t-shirt, please make sure afterwards that you see Dawn Kisner. And please note, if we have not mentioned one of your accomplishments, please let us know, because these are self-reported to your academic program areas, your student services, and your administrative services area. My message today is going to be about moving forward. And I believe that Cecil College is moving forward. You will be hearing from Dr. Diane Lane, who will be talking about the periodic review report. She'll talk about the strategic plan and the timeline for that document, which will be coming up very, very shortly. Dr. Christine Valukas will come up and speak to you about capital projects and the planning process that goes into place in Cecil College receiving dollars for new buildings and dollars for renovation. She will also speak to the master plan and the time frame associated with that. Chris Ann Zepp will also come to the podium today to really speak about the community commitment and the work of institutional advancement and government relations. The reason I've asked each one of the team members to come forward today is so that these presentations will bring everyone in this room up to date on these individual institutional projects, because they really do affect us all. State of the college. Let's talk about employees and where we are with some of our searches. Our executive director of human resources, we had one finalist candidate on campus earlier this week. I hope you had an opportunity to be involved in that process. We have a second candidate coming forward. We did have a third candidate because we did listen when we had the last search, and the group was very adamant about trying to get that third candidate to at least come to campus. She withdrew her application. I think Lauren sent me the email Monday saying that she's withdrawing her application. So we have a second person coming on campus. In regards to the Chief Information Officer position, that position will be filled most likely in the beginning of February. We'll put notice out for that piece to advertise for that Chief Information Officer. In the meantime, our departments in Human Resources and IT, I want to thank you because you've been stepping up to the plate day in and day out as we go through this transition. So thank you for that additional work and effort that you put forward, continue to have to put forward in the next couple of months. The Dean of Academic Programs, the search committee, I believe they met Monday after all the applicants came in at the end of December 31st. That process is moving forward, and we will be naming, as the process ends, the new Dean of Academic Programs. A very important role for our faculty and for moving our institution in a direction that continues to support students. Where are we with healthcare? Many of you are aware that our healthcare costs did increase personally. You received your new Blue Cross Blue Shield cards if you happen to have benefits through the college. And what you also recall is that those out-of-pocket expenses did increase. So what are we doing as an institution related to the question that most employees want to know? What's happening with our compensation? Is there going to be compensation? And at this point, the answer is not at this time. For those of you who have served on the college management team, we're sharing every number that we can share with you to say budgets are very, very tight. But that does not preclude us from looking every day at our budget in each division, each department, to see how can we save dollars and how can we possibly, hopefully in maybe next January, implement a small compensation, at least to help cover some of those costs that we see associated with the increase in the overall health plan. And that is something our trustees have been very adamant about. They know the results of the impact on morale when the compensation is deferred for multiple years in a row. We're very, very well aware of it, and we're working hard and asking you to identify ways for us to take a look to realign our budget to institutional priorities and to ensure that we are doing the best with the dollars that we have. And in doing so, Human Resources set up a website that said, if you have a cost containment measure, send it to us. We want to know. To date, you've not heard a formal response, but at our last President's staff meeting, I've asked each Vice President to have a formal, cohesive written response to those items and those suggestions. Some of the items we implemented. Some of the items we have factual information that we'll respond to, and some of the items we will say we cannot implement that at this time. But when we ask for your input, I want to try and make sure every time we do that there is a response, because it's very frustrating when we're trying to say, let's see how we can save money, help us, and we don't respond to your responses. That information will be shared with the college management team and go out to each division to be shared as well. In terms of employees and what we are doing, professional development is a high priority, and we say that, and sometimes that's the easiest place to take money from. But what we are doing is something that does not cost the college. It's re-implementing and re-energizing the Safe Colleges program, which is the online human resource continuing education program. If you were here 2 years ago, you had to complete a few of those Safe College programs. We will be moving forward with having that completed on an annual basis. Some of it's directly related to new regulation and enforced regulation regarding Title IX. It's not that we're not in compliance. We need to be doing this every year to make sure we're in compliance with Title IX. For those of you who look at the higher education literature, you know that there's something in the literature every day about Title IX. Title IX really is about students and about all employees, full-time and part-time. So there'll be some information coming out. I've asked Madeline and Lauren, I'm going to say Madeline and her team, so Madeline and Lauren, they will be meeting with the affinity groups and said, when is the best time to launch the Safe Colleges for specific groups? And what we found when we brought this question to college management team is, Some of our employees are frontline staff where they can't sit at their computer, stop for 20 minutes and say, wait a minute, I'll register you in just a minute. I have to finish these 3 questions. So we're trying to set, we didn't think about that. Luann's laughing. We really didn't think about that. No, just go take it on your computer. So we're going to set aside some time for that. So really, we heard what you had to say. It really was kind of silly for us to put that out and not reserve that space for you. So that's how we're going to launch some of that mandatory annual professional development. There are many other opportunities for us, and we're going to work very closely with Human Resources to make sure not only that the online piece happens, but that the rest of our professional development comes out in an annualized way so that we know what's happening in this month. And we know timing is everything. To try and get our registration techs to sit through professional development the week before the fall semester starts is probably not good timing. Not good timing at all. So we are working on that piece. Cecil College, we carry out our mission with 169 full-time employees. 50 of those are faculty, 92 are professional, administrative staff, and 27 are classified staff. And typically, each semester, the academic program areas employs about 190 adjuncts per semester. Summer's far less, but the fall and spring semester. So that's the team that it takes to make Cecil such a great place. That doesn't include all our part-time employees that we depend on and our adjunct faculty that we depend on to move this college forward. Enrollment. For those of you who attend the college management team meetings, you know that credit enrollment is tracking about 3% behind where it was this time last spring. What does that mean for the institution? It means many things. It does impact budget. But what it means for the next couple of weeks is that the area in Building A will be very busy in the next 2 weeks. They will be registering the high school students. They will be registering the Aberdeen Proving Ground cohort of students, and they will be registering every student who comes in and says they're interested in enrolling at Cecil College. I mean, there's a lot of work that happens to make that piece a success. And as you've been to our meetings, you know how closely enrollment ties to our budget and how enrollment ties to many other things at this institution. And that's why we look at it on a daily basis. And when we look at the fees associated, the tuition and fees, right now as to today, we're tracking about 2.5% below where we need to be for tuition and fees. The good piece of news with enrollment is related to continuing education. Continuing education numbers are up and have been tracking up this entire year. And we're very, very hopeful that those programs will continue to track and help meet that tuition and fee gap and enrollment gap that we see right now with our program. And we are one institution, and we're very pleased that we're able to support each other in that way. And continuing education works very, very diligently every day. Debbie and I used to talk about that in continuing education. You make your money, that budget, $25 at a time when you look at our pricing in some of our program. And on the credit side, we make that per credit, every time. So we have different metrics, and we're going to continue to look at those metrics for that. Facilities. Wow, we do have some great facilities. I hope you notice as you walk around the campus, and as you walk to other campuses on different community colleges, our facilities are well maintained. They look nice. Students enjoy them. If you've not been in the new engineering math building, shame on you. You probably have cut through the parking lot to get there. But that is a building that's attracted a lot of attention from our students, not just our engineering students, not just our math students. You see students there gathering on a daily basis. Even though it's an open area, they love the space to gather and to work as a team on their projects. I see them, if you walk through the building daily, you will see those. If you've come down from the engineering math building or the PE complex, you will notice that the sidewalk coming down is being repaired. I think it's going to be a great fit. It will be covered with concrete and some pavers, and it will really look like the piece of sidewalk and pavers that we have in the close to the engineering and math building. So it will really help connect those two pieces, and we hope that it will help connect those from the PE building and the rest of the campus down here to the center of the quad. You've been to Building A, up into the President's Boardroom, Dawn's office, and that area. There is new carpet. Please know we did not spend college dollars to replace that. That is really related to insurance for the flooding that occurred in that area. So there is new carpet. You will see some other things happening this spring. You'll see some road work, entry road work as you come in, so be patient and be cautious. We'll send messages out about that. You will see some work on the new ceilings being put in the library and in the theater where there had been water damage from one from the coffee pot issue and coffee pot water line in the Building A, and in Building B, there was some work that had to be done. That will be happening. For those of you who attend college management team and attend the board meetings, you will hear Dr. Balukas talk about the request for proposals that go out to let you know what's going on in that area. Budget. Last night I had the opportunity to go to our county executives' open session and provide some words to support what they're doing for the county budget, and clearly said, recently we had unexpected budget cuts from our Governor O'Malley, and that we really can cut no further, and that what we're asking for our FY16 budget is really just enough to cover the 15% increase in health care. We are supportive. We tried to let my message say that we are good stewards of our dollars. We're good partners. We share. We ask for just what we need most of the time. And that we want to support moving the county forward, because it certainly helps everyone when we're able to support the economic development of this county. And one way we do that is by being an educational institution. Help people get jobs. Help people with their education. Since I've returned from the Christmas break, I've met with every trustee regarding our budget, sharing all the details, and really telling them how hard everyone in this room worked to bring forth the budget that we are going to be presenting very, very shortly. It has been a rough process in terms of we always have more needs than the dollars needed, but everyone came to the table and said, pull that off. Pull that off. We know you don't have the money. So I want to thank you individually for doing that. It's hard. Some areas, I think, had the triple whammy in some of the things that were removed from the budget. It is very, very tough. But I've let each trustee member know how collaborative that process has been. And as soon as we get a number, we try and send it out. Recently, you received the email regarding Governor O'Malley's recent cuts. Just to remind you where we are with budget. The county is our biggest funder in terms of our budget. The second greatest source of revenue for us comes from our tuition and fees, and that's why we track this. You hear it every 2 weeks in college management team. You hear it every chance we have a chance to get in front of an audience. In fiscal year 2014, our overall budget was $21.5 million. And as we put our budget together, those in the room, there are some assumptions that we put forward with the budget. Originally was, we will have flat funding from the state. That worked really well to approximately 2 weeks ago when we received an email from the Maryland Association of Community Colleges saying, we've gotten a few hours advance notice that the governor will be cutting our budget. We weren't the only ones cut, but it comes to about $200,000. Here's the challenge. That's for this current year budget. So between now, January, and June 30th, the state will give us about $200,000 less dollars to work with. And for those of you in the budget meetings, you know how hard we work just to get a couple $100,000 in savings. What does that mean for fiscal year 16? We're not sure. Our new governor will be sworn in January 21st. It'll probably take a few months to adjust and really look at our budgets as a state entity. Tuition and fees are the second largest way that we have revenue for our institution. Our last tuition increase was fall of 14. It was a $5 increase. Our tuition went from $95 an hour credit hour to $100 a credit hour. Our trustees, our administrative staff, and really information from faculty and from staff who work with students on a daily basis saying we are challenged to raise tuition again. And we will look at fees, but we're also challenged in that because our foundation will say when our students come for scholarship, they're so excited they have a scholarship to finish those last 2 classes, and they thought their bill was $600, depending on what class they're taking. The fees associated with those courses sometimes are a little unexpected. So we will not be raising tuition at this time. We've been in the last few years raising tuition every other year. A $5 tuition increase would give us about, based on enrollment, is about $250,000, close to that, in terms of what does that look like for us. We are going to ask the county for about 3.2% more money than we did last year. Again, it's directly related to covering the health care expenses. We hope that they fund that, or we'll have to find other areas in which to make some cuts without really harming the rest of the institution. When Dr. Valukas gets up and talks about the budget, we do ask the county for capital budget, which is seen as separate, and we've asked for about $155,000 in the capital budget. That would take care of about 9 projects. And for those of you who've been participating in those budget conversations, you will see what some of those capital projects are related to. They're replacing items that are 20 years old, 14 years old. We feel that they're very, very needed. However, they could come back and say we're not funding that. But we've been fortunate in many years in having that minor capital funded through the county. With revenue, you have to look at the expense side and what are our assumptions and our projections. Overall, the college expenses increased 0.5% over last year. Think about that. Overall, college expenses increased 0.5% over last year. That's about $121,000. These funds, again, have been utilized to try and see how we can offset the increase in our health care cost. As you know, at this point, there's been no funding for compensation, for faculty promotions, for position realignment and adjustments. That has not happened. And in addition, in terms of the expense side, we've already identified over $200,000 in the areas of administration and IT in our budget request. We are continuing with that budget review and cost containment, and we're going to ask that you continue. If you don't want to come to the budget meeting or send the information otherwise, send the email to the budget comment, and I think Madeline has that up on the human resource site. We will continue to monitor that and bring that forward. Not only do I look at it, the college management team looks at it, and individual vice presidents take a look at that. Here's where our revenue comes from in terms of percentages for fiscal year 16. 38% from the county, 36% from tuition and fees, 25% from the state, and 1% from the other sources. In terms of fiscal year 16 budget expenses, we have about 58% in salaries. That number's up a little bit. The prior year, I believe it was 56%. Here's why it's up. The foundation is supporting a position for the Frostburg University program to come on campus. This fall, we will have Frostburg University on campus delivering the last 2 years of a materials science engineering program. Sent the signed agreement with the financials in that document yesterday to Dr. Joe Hoffman. Dr. Diane Lane truly helped negotiate some better cost sharing with that position. So you're saying, well, how can we not have compensation for our own employees and you're going to hire someone to teach for Frostburg? How does that work? Those funds are coming from the foundation to support that first year of that position. The foundation exceeded its goal for the engineering and math building, and we're very fortunate to be able to utilize some of those funds to help support that position. The other piece is that we really want Frostburg's program to be successful because we're sharing in the tuition and fee revenue. And we will be able to see these are the dollars brought in by Frostburg's program. And this is the percentage. The first year we get 65% of those tuition and fees to offset that position. So we're working very, very diligently with our partners to say everyone's got to give. And they agreed to that. It's going through their Senate, I think, Friday for approval. And they'll be moving that project forward. So that's where you'll see that piece coming up. And you know, what have we been doing? You're saying, well, this is the first I've heard that Frostburg's coming. We've been talking about it for a few years, and I shared with our Senate President, Jennifer, that really, Jennifer, these conversations started with administration about 3 years ago, even a little longer. It's just now coming to fruition that they will be on campus, and we are excited. The institutional student services area has been out with Frostburg University's recruiting students. They had a faculty member here in December meeting with our faculty and meeting with students. They'll also reach out to Hartford Community College because we want those students here as well. It will be a great program for us to have. The other budget expenses for 16 include contracted services, and actually we have a savings with that related to some utility costs, and some of the supplies and materials have decreased. And you'll see about 5% of our budget is in utilities. I want to let you know that I will lead this institution and support the college to ensure that our mission and our mission critical issues are addressed within our budget. And what does that mean? I already talked about tuition and fee revenue. Dawn's going to have to help me because I keep getting behind in my slides. She gave me a hint earlier when I was doing the promotions. But I was adamant. I can push the one button, Dawn. I have failed, so I apologize, Dawn. Such great work getting this together. Give it to Dawn. That would probably help. You know what the tuition and fee revenue is? You know that right now we're tracking 2.5%. Down in that area in terms of enrollment, about 3% in the credit, continuing ed is coming up. The FY15 budget, we know that between now and June 30th that our budget from the state will be $200,000 less. You know what our 2016 budget status is. The one thing that you might have heard of recently is President Obama saying that community colleges should be free for all. As a community college, I responded to our Whig reporter who asked about that. And any time the federal government or the state government says community colleges are wonderful, they contribute to the workforce, they are an economic driver, who in a community college would not want to hear that? We love to hear that. We're very supportive of those kind words, but very cautiously optimistic for a sustainable funding model. So that was the message that is out. So if you've heard about that and say, wait a minute, why are you talking about budget? Everything's going to be free. That's probably not going to happen yet, but it is out there. It's made press. It's very interesting. Governor O'Malley, we get the email from our affinity group, MAC, Maryland Association of Community Colleges, and I think 2 days later, Adam's making sure that I've seen the latest press and the video that was on that President Obama put out regarding free community college education for all. So that does send a very challenging message to us, but we'll be fine. We can deal with this. Keep using the tagline, the Cecil College moving forward, because I think we really are. And over the next several months, we need to build on our strengths. And we have to move forward in what I think are very key areas. And I want to provide that leadership that will allow us to build on our strengths, because we do some things really, really well. And there's some areas that we are continuing to evolve and say, that didn't work, let's try this. That didn't work, let's try this. Or, people don't use paper anymore. Let's push it out to the social media. So you have some leaders in our social media here on campus. My priorities are to focus on students, to really uphold and support that academic excellence, and to engage and support engagement in our community. And the other piece is to capitalize on institutional pride. And you think, well, you know, my job at Cecil, I work at Cecil and I get home. But you really don't. You're in the grocery store. You might go to your local church. You might belong to your Lions Club, whatever club that you belong to, your Girl Scouts, your Boy Scouts. Many people know that you also work at the college. It's sort of, maybe you've told this to your children when they're out in public somewhere. Look, you know, please do this. Don't ask that question. Don't stare when Mary Gold comes up with that. That really, we carry that pride with us whenever we go. Whenever we have candidates or candidates, that's the one thing I talk about, and I talked with Barbara yesterday, is that we really are proud of this institution in this region. Because when you're here working, and you're in the grocery store, that student in the that's checking you out, or if you do self-checkout, they are the ones that are waiting on you. When you go pick up your Pizza Hut order at lunchtime or they deliver, it's probably a student. When you're in the hospital emergency room, it's probably one of our nursing students or one of our CNA students or our medical assisting students. They are everywhere. And in case, as for some of you who've been here for a while, I talked to John Clement yesterday, going on 40 years. John, how many years? 39 years. And I know my own experience in the classroom, and you have so many students, and some of the students you remember forever, and the other students, this is what you do as you've been here for 30 years. You smile and say, I know you were a Cecil student. And that helps, because most likely those students that come up to talk to you and see you in the store, see you in the hallway, they were a Cecil student, and they're proud of being a Cecil student, because then they want to tell you their story, and it's something that we want to do. I know that I can help lead Cecil College in this direction of refocusing our institution on the student, on academic excellence, on that whole community engagement piece, and the piece with institutional pride. So let's get moving forward. Student focus. Our focus is on student access and student success, and for some that means many different things. It might be an affordable tuition. It might be support in textbooks. It might be that advisor spending that extra time. It might be that support service in the lab, math lab slide. I didn't want to. I brought a candidate. Thank you, Dawn. Thank you. Thank you, Wyatt. I feel that love, but she is right. We need to continue to work. You can see where we are today and where we need to move forward. We need to look at our work on how to better retain students. You've heard historically, for those of you who've been in CMT, you see the numbers. Here our fall-to-fall retention, our fall-to-spring, our year-to-year retention. We do a great job with getting the students in. They work like mad in the student services area to do that. And what would help them with their job is if we can retain more. And how do we do that? It might be additional support services. It might be programs like our blended course offerings, where you're offering the highest level developmental education course with that first college level course. And there's been great success in that piece. We also need to probably work on doing a better job regarding access and moving students forward. Not just the high school student to college. Well, what about that student who has a different pathway? We need to really look at multiple pathways. It's in the literature, every higher education literature that's out there, is that students need multiple pathways. We have a lot of not-for-profit and profits coming along that say, let's do this credential assessment, let's do some other ways to get students through college. So I think we need to really look at multiple pathways and try and remove some of those barriers. How do you get that student from this seamless transition, high school to college? I think we do a pretty good job. We'd always like more, but we do a great job with that piece. How do you get them from continuing education to credit? There is some work in those areas. Probably the strongest area that we've worked on, probably the most, Debbie's probably with Allied Health. Debbie's working to make that happen with some other areas with transportation and logistics. Also from college to the transfer institution. You hear the words that our advisors use is let us be the broker to help get you to Salisbury, that helps get you to Wilmington. We need to continue that process to make sure that we're student focused. The other piece is that we do have students who completed a 4-year degree and they come back to us. So how do we help that student transition who was a college graduate and said, I haven't had a job, I'm coming back to school because I'm going to be, and they can list things. You know, I've always been interested in welding, never done it. I'm interested in being a teacher. You know, I have a degree in this field, I'm coming back to do this. So how do we transition that person coming through? And then in doing so, we always have to keep in mind, what was the student's goal? How can we help them achieve that and make sure they attain their goal? These items, some of these items that you see in the student focus, really are some of the areas that we've worked on when we were pushed, probably a little more from the Career and College Completion Act. Academic excellence. Cecil College does a great job. I think we do a great job in the classroom, in our credit, and in our continuing education area, and we have for over many, many years. How do we continue to ensure that we are going to have academic excellence at the forefront of what we're doing? And one way to do that is to make sure that we support the learning environment. And we want to make sure that that environment is sustainable. Because it's always good when we start programs or we start new processes, but we want to make sure that they're sustainable. Because if they're sustainable, we can see that student through the 1 semester they're here, the 2 semesters they're here, the 5 years they're here, because they're taking one course at a time. So how do we make sure that that is a sustainable process that we can do? And when we help that student be successful, we help them be an engaged student and an engaged citizen. And that's better for everyone in this region. As you look at this slide, you look at where we are today and how we're moving forward. The college is very, very responsive to the numerous changes in the Maryland Higher Education Commission guidelines for how we govern and put out new programs, how we assess students, and how we move forward. And we will continue with that whole comprehensive support for students that we currently engage in. And we're going to look at our data and say what are the best practices and try and make sure that our resources align where the data shows this process or this works for students. But as much as we do, and in spite of what all we do, we're still challenged by how we support students. Here's one example. We know that students who take, believe it or not, our data shows, the national data shows, that the more credits the students take in a semester, the more successful they are. However, here at this college, at Cecil College, our students take an average of 9 credit hours a semester. That is an average. I think 3 years ago that number was 10 credit hours per semester on average. And when you think about that, and you think about the number of students that we have in a fall semester or spring semester, that's a lot of enrollment for our institution. And not just enrollment, because it is about money, tuition, and fees, but it's also about the student goal. When they're taking less credit, it takes them longer to accomplish that goal, and that's a challenge for us. In our continuing education division, we know that programs bearing certificates, and we have multiple programs that do that, they really support economic development for our institution and for our students. But how do we as an institution encourage more students taking those certifications and workforce certificates so that they take a 3-month program, a 6-month program, and have an employable wage, a livable wage? We have many programs that do that. But how do we get more students aware of that program and programs and support that? Academic excellence at Cecil is the hallmark for Cecil College. As we move forward, we have to ensure that we continue to honor all those standards that we have in place that will sustain our academic integrity today and moving forward in all of our academic endeavors. Community engagement. Again, you can see the today and where I think we are moving forward. Community engagement is so critical to our future plans. We have to be engaged in the community. We are a major economic driver. Yes, we employ 190 some faculty. Yes, we employ that. But here's the economic driver, that students come in and they're able to leave with a certificate, with a degree, with a workplace certification, and enter the workforce. That is contributing to the economics. And students with an associate degree earn on average $11,300 more than a high school student annually. A Cecil College student receives a 16.5% return on their investment for the time and the college and tuition and fees they've paid to receive their education. That's not too bad. The county receives, for every dollar they spend on Cecil College, they receive a return of investment of $1.40 per each dollar invested in our students. We need to continue our community engagement by designing and supporting connections between faculty and students that go forth to support the student learning, the academic achievement, and benefit community revitalization. You're saying, what are you talking about, community revitalization? Here's a perfect example. Downtown Elkton, the Palette and the Page is a sort of like a co-op arts district, arts area. Our students have been engaged from the beginning with that endeavor by starting very simply by working very closely, our visual communications, our theater, our English department, and it's very, very supportive of students. So how do we revitalize downtown? Well, if you're going to the Palette and the Page, we're hoping you're stopping by Elkton Station for our event. And by the way, are you stopping at the local businesses to purchase food, beverages? That helps revitalize the institution of Palette and Page, the institution of arts in this region, and Cecil College. So we do help benefit the community. As we move forward, we need to support student learning and academic achievement. And when we have an engaged student, we have a successful student. If you've been to student orientation and you've heard Tamika Swan get up and talk about students, and you've heard Dr. Lane get up and talk about students, they will tell you that students who are engaged on campus are successful students. Students who are engaged in the community and citizens engaged in the community are very successful in what they do. Successful meaning that they are contributing not only to their own financial household, but to the benefit and the betterment of the county and our college. In terms of institutional pride, people say, wow, word choice, Mary. But really, student focus, academic excellence, community engagement, they do not happen without dedicated faculty, dedicated staff, and dedicated stakeholders. And by our stakeholders, not just our trustees, but those who have ever been involved in the college. They are truly vested in what we do. I'm really trying to challenge us to adopt a whole organization practice that will foster our ability to make sure that we realign our institutional priorities through our budget process to support student success and student goal attainment. We currently seek partnerships with businesses. It's something we've not done in a great way. We have in the past, certainly. But I must tell you that the excitement associated with the new engineering and math building have brought out more businesses interested in science, technology, engineering, and math, and also interested in those areas, those other study areas, including the whole technical writing piece, including the graphic design piece, that we want to partner with them on research projects and internships. And Dr. Lithicum has been inundated with partners who say, we want internships. And actually, our students at an event here on campus, Northern Maryland Tech Council came on campus. Students were going up to the businesses saying, may I have your card? I really want a summer internship. So I'm excited that we have that type of pride in this institution, and we're not afraid to show that. I want to share, when I assumed this role as interim president, I received an email from an employee that really speaks to how important institutional pride is, and I'd like to share that email with you. It says, "Our success demonstrates our strength as a team. Our endeavors distinguish our talents as individuals. As a team, we bring out the best in each other. As a community, we share a mission and a vision to empower the student to achieve completion, to know that we have impacted students' lives in positive ways brings meaning and purpose to what we do." And I think that sums up Cecil College. I truly believe that, and people say, "Well, you're a Cecil County girl born." That, to me, is what we are as a community college and as a county. That truly sums up. So we are moving forward, and it is an honor to lead this college. And on the next several months, I'll be leading a truly incredible team. Today was just a small example, a small sampling of what a great team we have. And I'm going to help lead this team to advance that institutional planning to ensure that we support student success, academic excellence, community involvement. I'm also going to look at opportunities as we're moving forward to really ensure that if we have those best practices in place, how can we make sure that we have aligned the resources to support that? Because we really are moving forward to enhance our completion rates and help that student with their goal attainment. It's not what we want for them, although sometimes we really want to provide that. We want you to do this, but it's really about what is the student's goal attainment and what is a good fit for them. I'm going to look for additional ways for us as an institution to support that, but I'm also going to challenge you to say, show me the data, show me what is best practice, and some of you have done an outstanding job doing this. And I'm going to continue working with the budget team and the college management team to make sure that when we're looking at those cost savings, that they will not adversely affect students for their success here at college. This institution has leveraged community alliances. We seek areas to partner in programming and expense sharing. I think the Frostburg example showed that, and that's a recent. There have been many others. That just happens to be the latest and greatest for us at this institution. I want to lead this institution in a shared direction to promote access and success for all of our students. And when you think about all of our students, we have infants to greater than octogenarians on our campuses, both campuses. I want to lead this college to ensure that we're doing everything we can to have a supportive and learning environments. And sometimes we're challenged by that, and sometimes regarding space because we want some prime space at the same time. But we want to make sure, do we have the right tutors? Not the right tutors. We have great tutors. Do we have the right amount of tutors? Do we have the timing? And when you come back and you come to Dr. Lithicum saying, I need more tutors in this area, he's going to say, show me the data. Show me the data. You've been sending me monthly data on how many students have been coming through in one time, and this doesn't support it. So there'll be times we'll say no, but the evidence does not show that you need additional math tutors at 5 o'clock at night on Fridays. The last 3 months show that the last student comes in at 3:30. So we're going to look at that data and hold you to it, and you should hold us to that as well. I want to lead this community of great college employees in a direction that we continue that community alliance and that community support, because we are the community. We are a big part of the community, and we help contribute. And I want to make sure that we lead this institution, and I lead this institution, to adopt that whole business partner approach. We can't continue to move forward without multiple partners, and partners can be in very, very different ways. I've mentioned multiple times today where I think this institution needs to go and where I want to lead it, and it's really about increasing student access and success, making sure that we support student learning, making sure that our community alliances are where we need them to be to benefit the student and the student goal attainment, and to make sure that we take every opportunity of that business who comes on campus and says, I think I want to help. I want a student intern. I want to provide something to make this college move forward. These initiatives mentioned multiple times during the day, because they're the four that I strongly think we need to continue to make this such a wonderful institution. These initiatives require teamwork. They require every one of us in this room working together to enhance what we want for our students and for our region, and that is to advance academic excellence and student success for our students. Once again, our success demonstrates our strengths as a team. And thank you for helping me lead this wonderful Cecil College team. I'm happy to take questions, but I'd like to hold those to the end once we have the final presentations, because I'm sure there'll be multiple questions. And it's now my pleasure to introduce Chris Ann Zepp, Institutional Advancement and Government Relations, and she will be using the mic from her seat. We won't make her stand on her crutches today.
That's only because I can't speak without using my hands. And if I'm on crutches and I use my hands, it might get ugly. So good morning, everyone. It is my... Oh, am I getting the clicker? No, we're good.
If I can't click, she can't click.
I'm not getting the clicker. That's good. That's why not called a clicker. It's my honor to speak to you this morning about institutional advancement and government relations. I'd like to start off by giving you an update on the Cecil College Foundation. As you know, the Cecil College Foundation falls under institutional advancement, and the foundation is comprised of 25 community leaders who work diligently to raise resources, financial and other, for Cecil College. Each year, we kick off an annual fund campaign. That campaign raises money for scholarships, including textbook and traditional scholarships, and program funds. We employ numerous tactics, including direct asks, planned giving. In fact, some people have suggested that when I ask, how are you feeling? It's a professional. I assure you it's not. We also use online giving, social media, mailings, and have a whole host of events. The Little Black Dress, Blacks for Jacks, Celebrity Bartenders we kicked off this year, our gala, lots of opportunities so that people have many different ways to be able to participate and show their generosity to Cecil College. Additionally, we have formalized campaigns, Keep the Lights On, our Year of Planned Giving, and the Engineering and Math campaign that we recently completed. As of July 1 of next year, we are actually going to implement a formalized annual campaign. Thus far, we really have raised funds every year, but we haven't had a specific annual fund campaign, and we are really excited about doing that. We've really used our Thanks for Giving opportunity, the cards that went out around Thanksgiving, as that annual fund actual drive. So we hope to expand, increase awareness of Cecil College Foundation and our student and college's needs, and also increase support for the foundation. And more details on that will be coming soon. I am very pleased to let you know that we closed out our FY14 year of giving, having raised $563,000. Volumes, and let me tell you that if we didn't have a good product, our students and our classes, we wouldn't be able to do that. So every single person here makes a difference in how much we are able to generate from our donors. So thank you very much, and I mean that sincerely. This year, the first 6 months of this fiscal year have also been very positive, and we have raised $400,000 as of December 31st. So we are hoping that we are and still, when I ask you how you're feeling, you can answer honestly. What we do with those dollars is support scholarships and program funds. And last fiscal year, we provided $202,000 in scholarships to our students. keeps them in the classroom. It gets them textbooks, which both help, of course, add to their success and completion here. This year, for this fiscal year, we've awarded $281,000 in scholarships, a new high, and my team gets a big round of applause. That's a lot of work getting those students in. The number of scholarships that we have received just grows exponentially every year because we're out there, and all of you have been helping say, apply for a scholarship. They are open now. At cecil.edu/foundation, and please encourage your students to apply. In addition to scholarships, we also provided $181,800 in program support last year. And those are dollars that help provide program items for our allied health, for nursing, for the Milburn Stone Theater, athletics, engineering and math. And the majority of those different areas really help us raise those funds. So we are happy that we can help them offset those costs by raising dollars to support these very important initiatives. Thus far this year, and again, these are dollars that we raised through the engineering math campaign, the majority of which we have already provided $225,000 in program support to the college. And that really helps to take some of the burden off of our operational budget. So we are proud to be able to do that. In addition to raising money for programs and scholarship support, we also raise dollars that go into our permanent endowment. When people give an endowed gift, and that has a minimum of $10,000, those dollars are held in perpetuity. And we actually, unlike the college, we are able to invest those dollars with Morgan Stanley and grow those dollars. So I am thrilled to tell you, and this has been, as you know, anybody who invests in the stock market, it's been challenging in the last couple of years, that right now the foundation's endowment is $5.4 million. And that is a wow. That is a wow, and those dollars will be held in perpetuity, and the interest income from those will continue to support this college forever. I'm very, very happy to be able to talk about that. The one thing that I do want to mention is that we really do try to thank our donors repeatedly. If you are out, you certainly are all ambassadors of this college, and you know that someone has been generous to the college, please make sure you thank them on behalf of the college and on behalf of the Cecil College Foundation. The two ways that we do that, and we do that many ways, letters and calls and emails, but the two specific ways we do that is through our 2 donor recognition programs. Any donor who gives any amount 3 years in a row, bless you, see, I mean that. 3 years in a row, is a member of our Scholar Society, and they are invited to join us at our scholarship breakfast. Anybody who's ever, how many people here have been to the scholarship breakfast? It's phenomenal. You got to all come. I don't care. Just start giving $5 a year for 3 years in a row. I'm telling you, try to figure out a way to get there, because those people who have attended will tell you it's 300 people. Students, donors, it is amazing. It really reminds you of why we all get up every morning and come here. It is a phenomenal event. So we recognize our Scholar Society at that event. We also recognize our Socrates members at that event. But Socrates Society also has a special event for them. Those are donors who give $1,000 or more 3 years in a row, and we have a special event for them each year. This year we welcome them to the theater and for a performance of Shrek, which really serves a dual purpose. We love to be able to thank them and acknowledge it. We also love to show off our theater. And for some people, it was their first time in the theater, so they had a wonderful time. And we know that they're not only going to continue to be generous to the foundation, but hopefully they'll also begin to patronize our Milburn Stone Theater. So we love to get people here on campus. We love to get our donors around our students and our faculty and staff. And I want to say thank you so much for all you do every day. Advocacy and community relations are a really big part of what the foundation does also, and also institutional advancement, my team and I. Dr. Bolt already touched on the importance of the resources that our college team, all of us, provide the community. We have to be out there. It's very important. Community relations and supporting the community garners support for the college. It increases awareness for opportunities and talk about, opportunities to talk about our successes here at Cecil College. It helps us recruit and cultivate new donors and foundation directors and people who want to support us, mentors. It's really important. So we are out. My team and I, the foundation directors, we are out. We are members of so many different clubs. I mean, service clubs, fraternal clubs, clubs that give, clubs that come and provide service for the college, clubs that donate trucks, trailers, lots of things. It's really important that we are out there. So as Dr. Bolt said, you will see us. We are Cecil College at BPAC. We are Cecil College at Elkton Alliance, the Elkton Chamber, the Northeast Chamber. It's really important. If we are able to help and support our community moving forward, I will assure you that generosity breeds generosity, and it all comes back to us. So if there are any groups that you belong to that would be interested in hearing about any of the opportunities with the Cecil College Foundation, we'd love to come out and talk to them and see if there's opportunities for us to partner. Government relations. This, I think, might be the most obscure piece of institutional advancement in government relations office. I will tell you that our involvement in government relations is extremely important. Being involved does help us, allow us to advocate, educate, and negotiate. We do that both at all three, at Cecil County level, at the state of Maryland level, and at the federal government level. The return on investment is huge. It really is. At the local level, Cecil County, in the past 8 years, I'll tell you that we have been able to gain back or receive over $750,000 towards our operating budget. Those were cuts that they were going to make. Those were dollars that we needed, that we negotiated. You can use the word beg, it doesn't even upset me. Begged for. And we were able to obtain those dollars. And those are much needed dollars. We work hard every year with our local officials to ensure capital funding and ensure operational funds. It's really important that we have good rapport with all of our elected officials because they're making decisions on the budget. And just as we have tough decisions and more needs than dollars, often, actually every year since 2006, they also have had those same challenges. So we need to keep them educated on the importance of every dollar that comes to Cecil College. And the fact that the legislation that they think might not affect us certainly can affect us. Anything that affects our county and our economic development here affects Cecil College. We work on legislation with the county government that again affects either both the county and or the college. At the state level, we participate greatly with our Maryland Association of Community College. We help each year to write the legislative agenda with our presidents. All of the government relations people do that. That's important because that sets the tone for everything we do during the legislative session. We work with our legislative leaders to raise awareness about community college needs. We draft, we review, and we correct testimony. We testify in support or to kill bills that affect both the county and the college. And we really just work on funding. This involvement has seriously brought us millions of dollars in support. At the federal level, we are less involved, but we certainly are called in consistently to help with the Community College Caucus, to give information to our senators and our congressmen that would support being pro-Pell legislation and other workforce grants issues. And that's important. We really want to make sure that they continue to understand that our students have specific needs and that we want to make sure that we have access to for our students. So it really is important. I can't tell you how many times we have read bills or been involved in things that people really didn't, who were drafting really didn't understand the impacts it would have, and we've been happy to raise their awareness. So, that being said, I would like to take a minute and really thank somebody who has been an amazing asset to me in my role in government relations and has honestly brought so many resources both to the college and to the county. And I'd like to thank, and please show a hand of show of applause for Delegate Dave Rudolph for all the He has saved me so many times. I will tell you a true story. That one time I was stalking somebody who I needed to get. I needed to get this person because there had been an error in our budget, and so I was waiting, and I honestly was, I'm not kidding, this is shameless, waiting outside the men's room in Annapolis. And I finally went to Dave Rudolph and said, you have to help me, I can't do this. Even me, and I wear begging like a badge. I said, I can't do this anymore. And Dave went right out, he said, no, I have to go in the men's room. He actually, he went and he resolved the problem for us and saved $1.2 million for us. So I will tell you that I'm not concerned because Dave will continue to be an asset for us, and he's really going to be happy that I told that story. So. Please, if you have any questions, write them down. I will tell you that we absolutely love what we do. It is an honor to be able to advocate and to beg for Cecil College. It is such a worthy cause. Our students are amazing. Our team is amazing, and we have such a good story to sell, so thank you so much. And without further ado, it is my honor to introduce our own Diane Lane, who is going to move us forward on Cecil's planning.
Hello. There we go. They wouldn't let me have the clicker either. I want to talk about two aspects of institutional planning. There's lots of planning that goes on at this institution, but I really want to focus on two of those today. One of them is our middle states, which is our source document for launching us into a strategic planning process. I wasn't ready yet. When I talk about middle states, we have had an amazing committee that has been in place for the last 18 months in terms of developing a report. And I would be remiss if I did not thank Veronica Doherty for working shoulder to shoulder with me in terms of co-chairing this initiative. But one of the things I wanted to share is that this is possibly one of the best committees I've ever worked on. This was a group of people who were consistently on time, on task, and very dedicated to producing a quality document that spoke openly, honestly, and positively about Cecil College. That document was really pulled together in 4 different parts. I think so much of what we do is we focus on that report, and the report was so much of what we did, and that's part 1. However, this reporting process in terms of doing all of this really had 4 different elements to it. There were the self-study report itself, as well as appendices and planning documents, and I want to share very quickly some of the pieces of where we're going with that, supporting documents and resource materials, and then they've added this 4th element for this rotation, just in case reporting to middle states wasn't interesting enough. They were kind enough to add this federal reporting element around how we count credits, how our transfer policies work, how they are guided by the state, what are our default rates, and what are our regulatory environment for Title IV funds, which is financial aid. So these 4 pieces have all been brought together in a draft format. They have not only been completed on time, they've been completed ahead of schedule. That was again. So we are in the process right now. During the February board meeting, we will take this comprehensive packet of materials to our trustees for final approval. What we are doing, and I have been working very closely with Dr. Linthicum around this, we are ensuring that before that goes to the trustees, that we have internal consistency. When I say that there are supporting documentations, every plan, whether it's the academic plan, the assessment plan, the enrollment plan, no matter what plan it is we have in play at this institution, we are cross-checking all the data points in terms of, okay, the academic area reported that, did that same number show up over here? So we are doing all of those confirmation, the internal consistency across all of those. That'll happen before we go forward in February. The final packet will be pulled together in April, and then we send it forward for approval to Middle States Commission on Higher Education. We anticipate that that feedback and approval will come forward to us sometime in August. But since this document will be completely pulled together prior to that time, this becomes an incredible source document, planning document, the foundation of source information that we're going to use for our strategic planning process. We are preparing to launch the 2015 to 2020 strategic plan. And when Dr. Bull requested that I serve as the facilitator to pull all of this in that early conversation, there were a few points that were very, very important to her in terms of how we move this process forward. First among those was the broad-based input, not just of this institution, but of this community and of our stakeholders. And that we would be remiss if we did not look at all of the impacts that are going on at a state and national level, as well as the mandates. It almost seems like every 30 days there is a new mandate, whether it's coming from the feds or it's coming from the state. It just keeps coming. So we're going to be looking at those and how it is we respond to those. Is there a financial impact of that? How do we accommodate? How do we move it forward? Which is really that piece about anticipating the changes in our current condition. All of these things will be part of how we will move forward in a very systematic manner to put into play results management. If this is what we are striving to achieve over this next 5 years, are there measurements in place that says, yes, in fact, we have achieved that goal or that objective? And very often that's not going to happen without funding. So how do you pull all of those pieces together? So at a preliminary glance and in our early conversation, this is part of where we're going. One of the groups I have asked, because they say the reward for good work is more work. So I have asked that the periodic review group who has worked, and this time it was a sincere, you cannot commit more time, but that group works so well together and they've done so much preliminary work on the college in terms of where we are, what kind of progress we've made, and how we're moving forward, that they will be part of that internal group. But we will also open it up to others who would like to be on that process. We will also be turning to groups in the community and so forth to vet some of the information as we move forward. So timeline right now, and these are in broad terms, this is the timeline we're looking at. In February, in earnest, we are going to launch that process. And we are going to look at current conditions. We're going to start out, though, with really looking at our mission, our vision, our values, and saying, is this the foundation? Does this speak to Cecil College? And is this what we're building upon? Because without us having that affirmed and developed, the priorities that we move forward do not have the same sort of meaningfulness. So we're going to look at those in April and May. We're going to review a draft of the strategic analysis, so much of that drawn down from the PRR. Identify our strategic priorities and objectives. And the reason why we're working in that time frame is because not only do we want to solicit input in the development of that, we want to solicit feedback as we begin to put things into play by May. Then in June and July, we'll be refining all of that information and preparing a final draft of the plan for approval by June. So that kind of gives you a flavor for where we're moving with all of that. But although the strategic plan is so often and affectionately referred to as the big kahuna of all planning, there's lots of other planning that goes on at this institution. And many of those things reside in the area of administrative services. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Christine Valukas to talk about a little more planning that's going on around here.
I get the clicker back. It's like, oh, I don't know how I can use that, having that level of control. Anyway, good morning. I'm your last speaker for this morning, or formal speaker on the agenda this morning, and I will be brief, but I'm going to talk with you a little bit about our campus master plan and capital funding. Another one of our major planning initiatives that will involve the entire campus community is our 10-year campus master plan. Our last 10-year plan was completed in 2006. Some of you may have been here for that process. Our next one is obviously due in the spring of 2016. We have already started the process by soliciting for an architect and engineering firm that will help guide us through the process of developing the campus master plan. Sometime in the March-April time period this spring, a college-wide steering committee will be appointed to lead this process for the entire institution. So there will be many opportunities for you all to get involved both at the steering committee level as well as various subcommittees during this process. It will be a year-long process before the final master plan is developed. I've been asked this morning to address some questions and concerns that have come forward from both the campus community as well as outside the college. And I think it's important for all of you to understand a few basics about what we're doing with the campus master plan. The first question is, why do we prepare a campus master plan? What drives the plan? And how are the planned projects funded? I have 3 slides. That's it. Okay. Why do we prepare a campus master plan? Well, first and foremost, it's required in Maryland. It is state law to do this. All 2-year and 4-year public colleges and universities are required to prepare a campus master plan every 10 years. In addition to that, the Maryland Higher Education Commission has put together regulations that are published in COMAR that are very specific about what needs to be in a campus master plan. They literally define the scope and content of the plans. It's pages long. So those are their minimum requirements. However, at Cecil College, we are going to complete the minimum requirements that are put in COMAR by MPAC, but we also have 3 other optional components that we've incorporated into our plan, or possible components. One of them is ADA accessibility. The second one is to look at our parking and circulation and pedestrian pathways on campus. And the third one is technology infrastructure. Those 3 optional components will only be completed if the overall cost of putting together the campus master plan fits with our budget. There are a couple other reasons why you would prepare a campus master plan. Another one is to optimize the use of our physical resources. So we'll actually be looking at not only our existing buildings and facilities on this campus and our other sites, but we will also be looking at our land and our topography and where we are today now that the engineering math building is completed, and determining what are the next projects, what makes the most sense in terms of the best use of the physical resources that we currently have. And the other reason is that the campus master plan serves as a communication plan for all of our stakeholders, for our campus community and for the Cecil County at large, as well as with county and state agencies. It puts out there what our plans are in terms of developing our campus, as well as what our future needs are. So what drives this plan? Well, there are literally tons and tons of things that influence the campus master plan. So I've just listed a few of what I think are the most important ones on the slide today. First and foremost, as always, student needs and aspirations. Our students will be involved in focus groups and interviews with the architect and engineering team to talk, and the steering committee, to talk with us about what they see as their needs here on campus from a physical standpoint. What do they need in our facilities? What do they need in our classrooms? What do they need on our campus in order for them to be successful and have an optimal learning environment? We will also be looking at the reaffirmation of the college's vision and mission. Community colleges are similar in many ways, but they are also unique in many ways. So we will be looking at Cecil's vision and mission and how that plays out in terms of our facilities. Obviously, the strategic plan, the next 5-year strategic plan, will also drive the campus master plan because it will set a direction for the college as well as define the next 5-year major initiatives for the institution. We'll also include a comprehensive environmental scan. That environmental scan not only looks at what's going on in Cecil County in terms of our students, but it also looks at statewide influences as well as regional influences in terms of population growth, the economy, and other influences. An optional influence, there might be a new business or new industry moves into Cecil County that Cecil College now has to develop a new program for that might require new facilities or renovation of some of our existing facilities. Obviously, the enrollment management plan and all the other planning documents that we currently have are also part of the campus master plan, whether it's the campus safety and security plan, the human resources plan, the technology plan, and the academic plan. These plans are all integral to the campus master plan because they tell us what kinds of programs are going to be growing, what kinds of programs are going to be changing for our students, and what programs might be going away. All of that has an influence on the shape of our facilities for the future. And finally, this all results in what I would call the needs that we have for various types of spaces. We might have needs for more office space, more specialized learning spaces, more tutoring, or testing center space. And so as those things come about through these discussions for the campus master plan, we also then have to match those needs up with space eligibility. At the state level, there are formulas for how many square feet you get for offices on your campus, how many square feet there are for classrooms and classroom labs. And so we now have to try to match up our needs with what our eligibility is before we can even think about putting forward a new project for funding. So there's a huge amount of information that is gathered through this whole process that actually results in what areas need to be maintained on our campus, what things might need to be repaired, renovated, or new construction. So how do the planned projects be funded? Funded, I'm not saying that properly, sorry. There's a lot that goes into this. Before we can ask for $1 of money for funding for any new project for our campus or renovation, we have to develop what's called a program for the project. And that program is a comprehensive study and analysis and justification for why we need this new facility. Well, even if it's a renovation, we have to provide the same kind of level of justification. The project programs are comprehensive, massive documents that the Maryland Higher Education Commission reviews and studies, and then once they go through their whole process, they have to approve that concept. Only after they've approved that concept are we then eligible for any funding or to even request funding to start the project. One of the other factors that we also have to do at that time is we have to tell the state what other alternatives we've considered. Have we considered leasing space off campus? Have we considered renovating existing space? Have we considered not doing the project at all? For example, the new entrance roadway project that we would like to push forward, we have to tell the state what would happen if they didn't build that for us or we didn't get the funding for it. And we have to give them data and solid information on the ramifications of not moving a project forward as well. So once all that's completed and approved by the Maryland Higher Education Commission, then we are finally in a position to ask for money. And the money can come from 3 different sources. It can come from the state, from the Community College Construction Fund, which is provided through the sale of bonds. It can come from the county CIP or Capital Improvement Program, again, primarily funded through the sale of bonds. And it could also be a minor capital project. If it's under $100,000, we might ask the county just to provide funding for that particular project. the piece that I want you to be aware of is if we receive funding for a particular project, we can't substitute another project if we change our mind. We can't change course midstream and do something else with the money because we'd like to do something different. We would have to go back and get a program modification change. We can't use these dollars for operating expenses. So once these funds are approved for a project, that's all we can do with the money. We can only use it to renovate this building or build a new building. If we don't use those funds, they just revert back to the county or the state to be used for other projects in other agencies. It's not as if we can keep that and use it for anything else. We've been very fortunate and blessed that our county and state have supported a number of our projects that we've put forward, but I can tell you most projects take anywhere from 8 to 10 years just to move through the normal system. Some of you may recall that the PE complex, for example, took close to 15 years or more because it kept getting delayed. And actually we built did the construction for Elkton Station first and deferred the PE complex ourselves. So there's different factors that can happen. So these projects can be in the works for 10 to 15 years before you actually see it completed here on campus. So it's a long process, but I am very excited about moving forward and facilitating the next 10-year campus master plan for the college. Thank you. Turn the podium back over to Dr. Bolt for questions.
Thank you. Before I take questions, I hope that as you heard each of us speak this morning, you saw how that through planning and through our teamwork that we are connected in all that we do. And the priorities that I have outlined, you should see those probably come through in some of the strategic planning process that comes. You'll see some of those themes you heard Dr. Valukas mention regarding the master plan. And I've worked with Chris Ann regarding what's the next major funding drive that we will do for the institution. And we're talking about to ensuring that it's truly student-focused. So we hope that you're able to see over the course of the next several months is that we're really trying to move this institution forward. At this time, I'd be happy to take questions, and those I don't know, I'll be happy to defer to anyone. Any questions at this time? Yes, Dan.
It's actually probably for you and Chris. The items that didn't get finished in the last master plan, do those automatically get some consideration in the next one, or how does that get handled?
Absolutely. The items that were in the prior master plan that haven't been moved forward will be reconsidered and put back into the new plan.
But that's why it's so important, because at one point, I think in the master plan, we looked at VCP coming out of the basement of the arts and science. Please make sure you're involved. Yes?
Does the master plan encompass all the campuses or just the Northeast?
It encompasses all the campuses.
Okay.
So you will see in the spring people climbing on the roofs, they'll come in the basement. See, it's true, right, Dr. Valukas?
Well, probably in the summer.
In the sun, okay. I don't know, come on, be brave. It's not too bad in May. But you will see that activity on campus. Any other questions? Well, this formally concludes our 2015 Spring All College Day. Thank you, and thank you for being such a great team and moving into the